After a month in lockdown, many are now asking, what is the exit strategy? When and how will the restrictions be relaxed? This is understandable. We want to get back to normality, especially when we've been through a time of major disruption, disease in our case, and of course disappointment. The story of the two disciples walking to Emmaus speaks to us about how to return to a new normality after a traumatic event. It's the story of the two disciples fleeing from Jerusalem, the site of great disappointment and the disruption of Jesus' execution. They walk westwards to a village named Emmaus as the evening draws in and all is getting darker. Along the way, they meet a stranger who talks to them about these events. And when they invite him in for a meal, the stranger says grace. Their eyes are opened, and they see the risen Jesus in the stranger. He then disappears from the story, and they race back eastwards towards the rising light of the dawn, to Jerusalem and a new future with the risen Jesus. Many of you will know that Selby Abbey was a Benedictine foundation. St. Benedict challenged his monks to see the uninvited stranger as a gift, as Christ, who can teach us more about the things of God and how to live well, if we listen and if we see what the stranger is trying to tell us. COVID-19, in some sense, is an uninvited stranger, which has disturbed and disrupted our lives. For a lot of people, it's brought terrible suffering and death. Yet in the light of the resurrection, this uninvited stranger has also focused our minds on some important things that maybe God is wanting us to pay attention to. For example, we've seen that community and cooperation are more important than competition and autonomy. We've realised more intensely that life can end abruptly and that it can't be taken for granted. We've been made aware of the preciousness of our health service and of the selfless commitment of health professionals, scientists, and other key workers. We've seen how important our immigrant communities are and our BAME communities, and the way they've sacrificed disproportionately themselves in this pandemic. We've realised the importance of food security and the vital work of our farmers and food suppliers and shops. We've been reminded of the importance of listening to experts rather than simply pandering to our own prejudices. We've seen again the centrality of Easter and its message of new life and hope when faced with suffering and death. We've learned too new ways of worship, outreach and pastoral care. At the same time, we've recognised in the absence of gathering how important that is for us. We've sensed the value and the importance of community life. The world will not get back to the old normal once the lockdown is ended, because our future will always include COVID-19, the uninvited stranger in our midst. Yet the walk to Emmaus helps us to see that this invited and uninvited stranger is the one who embodies suffering and light. As we continue in lockdown, the question we face is whether we will continue to walk westwards to an even darker future, or whether we will turn and walk eastwards, seeking Christ's Easter light and hope for a new normal, a new life, a new future.